said, just kissing it. James Deane, look at Ryan Literal. He is right there, tucked in. He knows. Talking about that 100-point run. That's what James Deane. Oh, a straight knee to correction. Was there contact? We will run it back. That was very unlike James Deane, so we'll take a look at that. I think he's top. Yeah. So here we go. Ryan Little's out front. That contact, he disrupted James Deane. He was in that hot pocket. Got a low burn though. Here we go. They let it cool. Ryan Little gets out. Oh, he taps it. Using all the force. James Deane, unfortunately, he didn't get to that second outside zone. There goes James Deane. Now he's in the pocket. That's alternate position. Literal goes for it on that inside clip. Really good execution. What a way to start Formula Drift. And I think that small little hiccup and that error of Literal, push comes to shove. Let's shove it into that first outside zone. That auto zone penalty, RTR, in that first outside zone. Boom, right there. Black clock, back and forth, ping pongs, under the bridge, outside zone 3. There it goes out, reaching into that last inside clip. Beecham dives in. Just kind of backs off, pacing through that start chicane. Let's see how James Deane keeps his composure here. Goes in initiation in that first outside zone. Beecham gets all the way out to James. He comes up a bit short. Oh, shreds that back line right into that third outside zone. James Deane gets right into the pocket, smoked out, and there's James Deane now. So dang, it's just look at that. I mean, there it is, and yeah, get in my office. Okay, step out, you're fired. Yeah, thank you. All right, here we go. James Deane back in the action. James Deane going against that of Connor Shanahan, all Irish battle, and there's James Deane. Puts it right there in the outside zone 3, transitioning into that inside clip. Just, I mean, like, I know. What? No tomfoolery, no trickery, no Irish games here. This is bragging rights at the pub tonight. Connor Shanahan initiates. James Deane right there. Initiating. Shanahan gets all the way out there. Almost taps bumper, the tiny little bumper. Brings it under the bridge. Here comes James Deane. Watch this. He's going to sink in the sword. The Mustang diving in the side of his fellow countryman. Now bringing in that final inside clip. Barely just nudges that inside clip. And I gotta think it's going that way. James Deane gets the win. Here we go. James Machine Deane, 4-time first ever champ, initiates. Adam LZ in tow. Some do a little correction there. There goes James Deane, getting all the way out there. Transitions under the. Look at that magic. Just slides it on back. Boom. Barely taps that Mustang tail light and bumper. Comes to that last and final inside clip. Textbook. But Adam LZ was right there. Right on, here we go. Adam LZ getting the clean air, Drift HQ. James Deane, look at him tucked in. Is he gonna be put to bed? Adam LZ comes up short. Here goes James Deane. Adam LZ needs to force a mistake for James Deane. That is a very hard ask, and look at that. Oh my gosh. Wherever you go, I will follow you. Wow. How he adapts. Like Adam came up short at outside zone 1. Oh. James Machine Deane out front, Frederick Osbo in the chase position. James initiates in that first outside zone. Here goes Frederick Osbo. Look at the massive angle from James Deane. Frederick Osbo chases him down. Well done, gets into the pocket. James, massive angle. Frederick Osbo gets that proximity, doesn't mimic a tail right there. You can see just about 15, 10, 0 degrees in that chase position. James Deane. Let's see what kind of prowess we got. Look at James Deane. That initiation was very aggressive in the chase. Frederick Osbo tuned all the way up. Backs in that Toyota GR Supra. The Rockstar Energy Drink pilot. Can he take it to the top? Taking out the defending champion, a 3-time champion himself, James Deane, into that last clip. We are about to send it! James Deane, Frederick Osbo, one more time. James Machine Deane initiates in that outside zone. Boom, right there, once again, just like clockwork. Back at it. Look at Frederick Osbo. Oh! He's backing hard. That disrupts Frederick Osbo quite a bit. Osbo had to back off. Didn't know if there was contact. As we get blinded by the smoke.
Outside zone 2, James pushing hard and just adds that bit of angle and gets into the wall and kind of brings Freddie in with
no
him. Back at it.
Gangsters, absolute warriors of Formula Drift. Frederick Osbo goes in, initiates. James Deane, he's in tow. Look at James, shakes it up. This is a James we have not seen at all. And Frederick continues on. James Deane transitions into that final inside clip. So take a look at He is not just going to hand it to him. There are no team orders. Knowing Vaughn and knowing James Deane as some mud is being thrown up, James Deane comes and swings wide on that inside clip. Look at Vaughn twisting the screws on James Deane, the four-time champion and defending champion. James Deane brings it all the way out. They know what each driver is capable of. They know the car setup. They know what to expect, and now they're putting on a show for you. Come on now, send it, baby. RTR, Ford Mustangs here at Road Atlanta. Let him hear ya. 2004 to 2025. Holy cow, what a big jump here. Vonkin Jr. out front, tip the tail. Yes, sir, big angle there. Vonkin Jr. goes in tight on the inside clip, now transitioning, pulling that front right off the ground. The RTR, the Nitto tires on the corners into that third outside zone, and here we are once again. Boom, Vonkin Jr. hits that inside clip. James, he narrowly lets him pass. He lets him on through, but James back to the side of the other Ford Mustang, bringing it on home. Let him know you're here. Sophomore season, bang, gets a championship, and here he is. He's going against Jeff Jones, who has beat the champion before. The conditions could be a variable that could equalize the vehicles here. Again, that Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD Ford Mustang. Here comes James Deane. Now keep in mind, James Deane, a lot of practice, a lot of driving in the wet. He's from Ireland, a very wet country. They know how to drive in the wet, and he is showboating right now. Literally, it is a show boat because it is very wet out there. And the Southern California driver, Jeff Jones, doesn't see a lot of wet driving, but he would love to. He said it. He says, I'm just going to send it down the hill, man. He knows who he's going against. James Deane. James Deane. It's like wrestling a pig, and then you realize the pig is just having fun.
Just having fun.
Got it. Just clarifying.
Gotcha.
Jeff Jones out front, going against, by no means is James Deane a pig. He is an absolute weapon, man. This guy is, he is roasting those Nitto tires. That's about it, and well done by Jeff Jones out front, that Evil AutoWorks Nissan 370Z, but you can see just the prowess and the menacing Ford Mustang in the rearview mirror, and you can see the attitude of the car. Jeff Jones, very fluid out front, but look at James, you can see just chomping at the bit. He knows the setup too. He's like, give it to me loose, you know, give it to me, this is how I want it. He knows what he likes, he knows what he wants. James Deane, Jeff Jones, slide him left. Vernon says James Deane, as does Brian and Reese, are three judges. Four. James Deane will lead in that Ford Mustang Spec 5 FD. We saw how good he is in the wet. We know it, but Matfield stepped up and he rose to the occasion. Rain continues to come down. An all-American battle, but an Irishman behind the wheel of the Mustang, filling all of that second outside zone, coming into the third. James Deane, I mean, it's like it's not even raining. It is raining, R-E-I-G-N, for James Deane right now, owning the track, but Matt Field, the beast of the Bay, really giving it all. And he is hanging in there. I'll tell you what, look, it is persistent.
Yeah.
He knows the parameters, he knows the settings that he wants, and he got what he needed. So now Matt Field will have the clean air. James Deane's a real threat in the chase position, but has he driven against Matt in the wet? Here we go, Matt Field initiates. Oh wow, what a good sweeping entry by Matt Field. James Deane giving a little bit of room, but did he give him too much? Now coming to the second outside zone? Nope, he did not, because he reeled him in like a big mouth bass. Now into that third outside zone, flirting with the edge of the track goes Matt Field, dials it in. James Deane, he has given himself too much of a buffer, because Matt Field, that Borla Heatwave Lean Customs Corvette, is hitting the marks. And here comes James Deane, again, a defending champion. Every action has a reaction. Here we go, James Deane, Matt Field, slide him left for James Deane, right for Matt Field. Looks like James Deane gets the taken him out before, many moons ago, 6 years ago, the battle, roll the tape in Orlando. James Deane leads, Jonathan Castro in the chase position. James Deane, big angle for him, goes into that inside clip, overshoots it. Castro, good composure from him. He has to re-enter and recalibrate into this second outside zone. Goes James Deane, Castro Gets a little wobbly going into that third outside zone. Comes up short, good proximity from Jonathan Castro in the Methodon Toyota GR86. Takes a bit shallower line. James Deane swings it wide. Good proximity from Castro. Again, once again, has to back off. Reinitiates here. So sloppy on both sides. James Deane overshoots it. So he has to win. It's a must win to get an FD trophy. Here comes Jonathan Castro. He's feeling calm. He's feeling collected, according to Lorette Nickel, who's up the top of the hill. Here comes Castro. Methodon Toyota GR86 on 10 tires. Past that inside clip. James Deane in the chase position. Here goes Castro up the hill and into that second outside zone. Great chase job by James Deane, but keep in mind, Castro's putting the car in the right place into the third outside zone. Perfect. Spot on. Now it goes to the inside clip. Very shallow from Jonathan Castro. Oh, James Deane gets aggressive. He bashes the door of Castro, nudging him out of the way, but Castro stays vigilant, going to that final inside clip and drags it across and back up the hill. Do we have a result? Slide him left for James Deane, right for Jonathan Castro. One more time. One more time, and there it is. These guys went against each other six years ago in Orlando, and probably one of the most exciting battles ever in Formula Gym's history. James Deane across the nose of the Toyota GR86. James Deane fills all of that first outside zone. He brings it in tight. Castro gives him a little bit of room. He didn't get to the outside zone. Now he comes in tight. Oh, big angle, and Castro spins. Castro comes to a halt. James Deane will continue on. It doesn't look like they're going to throw the yellow flag. The caution is not out as Castro heads back up the hill with the tail between his tires, unfortunately. One of the judges going with James Deane. Castro out front. He's going to try to force an error on James Deane. He's hoping that he makes a mistake in the chase. Castro needs to run a perfect line, fill all the zones, hit the clips. Good execution right there. That's exactly what he needed to do. He did that. Outside zone 1, inside clip 1. Now coming up the hill, that's where he made the mistake. Filling outside zone 2, perfect. Right on it. Outside zone 3, fills it. James Deane does exceed a little bit. He does go outside the track. That is a mistake. That will be a deficit, but not as magnanimous as we saw that big spin by Jonathan Castro. And now coming across, there goes Castro and Deane.
What makes it hurt more is seeing
slide him
how...
left or slide him right real quick. James Deane gets the win. James Deane, we are live. Round 2, Road Atlanta. Frederick Osbo initiates Rockstar Engine Toyota GR Supra. 10 tires into that first inside clip goes Frederick Osbo. Now transitioning up the hill, dialing it in. James Deane barely some room in between the Supra and the Mustang into that third outside zone. Look at James Deane. He gets in that dirt once again. That's what he did against Castro, but he still keeps his composure, gives him a little bit of line to run the line. Goes Frederick Osbo out front. James Deane looks like he backs off. He applies the pressure. Now back up the hill, past that inside clip, and across the finish line. Actually, the last time, who's coming out on top here in Atlanta? Round 2. And James Deane leads. He initiates in that AutoZone Mustang RTR. Now past an inside clip, the rain continues to come down. Who's going to REIGN in the rain? Rain in the rain. Into that third outside zone goes James Deane down in. Frederick Osbo. Look at him diving in. Really good proximity. Keeping his collection right now outside of the keyhole and the horseshoe. Look at Frederick Osbo. He wants it. That's the X factor we need to have for Frederick Osbo's camp to really own it here. 25% James Deane, 25% Osbo, 50% one more time. We got it one more time. We got it one more time. Let's send it. Frederick Osbo, James Deane, the one more time battle. Are we going to get a victor? Frederick Osbo in the Rockstar Energy Drink, Toyota GR Supra, Kenda tires. James Deane in tow from Ireland, Norway versus Ireland, Mustang versus Supra, Ford versus Toyota. The rain continues to come down. Frederick Osbo navigates his way into, whoa, gets a little hairy there, into that second outside zone, now to the third outside zone. Top of the key, can he unlock it? Here comes into the key and out of the keyhole. Look at the flogram exiting out. Look at the elevation change. You can see them coming down the hill, harnessing the speed, harnessing the energy. James Deane looks like he checks up just a little bit as Frederick Osbo narrowly avoids some contact past the finish line. And now friend Frederick Osbo lick the stamp and send it. it. Here we go. Return to sender. We'll see who gets top of the box. Will be the same order. Osmo won in Long Beach. He won here last year. Can he do it again? James Deane, again, notoriously great in the wet. Frederick Osmo likes the frozen rain. We're talking about ice racing. James Deane in that second outside zone, puts it in there, sticks that Ford Mustang in there, no problem. Mustang in a box, and the Toyota Supra nosing in great proximity. You can see them diving in on the inside. Now as they exit out of the keyhole, Frederick Osmo applying the pressure consistently, not having it dart in. He keeps the same measured approach, brings it around that last, and look at that transition.
Going for Frederick Osmo, judge 3.
The first outside zone coming down the hill, the iconic Road Atlanta. The rooster tail off the back of the Supra and the Ford Mustang into that inside clip. Bring it a little wide there as Frederick Osmo now back up the hill. Snappy transition. The X factor is what they're looking for. Into that second outside zone. Now bring it into the third outside zone. Coming into the keyhole, James Deane with a little bit more angle. That seems to be his move. He really flirts with the edge of the track. And now coming outside of the keyhole. They were in there once thinking we had a victor. A little bit of technology went a long way, and now coming back at that inside clip. It's been cold, but who will get the win here at round 2? Road Atlanta 2025. James Deane leads. The Type S lights are on in the Type S finals. Coming past that inside clip for the second one more time. The third battle between these two guys. Frederick Osmo got the win in Long Beach. He got the win here last year. James Deane, the defending champion, comes into that outside zone number 3. Past an inside clip, absolutely on it. Frederick Osmo chases him down, hunts him down like a big game mantelpiece. Let's see what taxidermy, if we're gonna have a Mustang or a Supra hanging on the wall. Now, third place here at round 2 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship, the road to the championship. Third place goes to Odi Bakshis. Odi Bakshis with third place here in Atlanta. A non-unanimous decision. James the Machine Deane gets the win. James Deane gets the win. Frederick Osmo gets second, and Odi Bakshis in third. It does matter, because it's Austin Mata. Here we go, that AutoZone Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD. I'm sure the boss man is watching at home, talking about Von Kitten Jr. Boom, clutch kicks into the ball. That's what I was talking about. Look at that thing, absolutely on rails, like a magnet to that green wall. Into the power alley, inside clip 1, transitioning inside clip 2, bang, right on it. You can see that front tire going into the box. Austin Mata swings wide, and look at James Deane, gets right into the crease, lick the stamp and send it. Boom, sign, seal, deliver, COD, cash on delivery, cash on James Deane. This is not one of them. Not one of them. But Austin Mata will now, he's going to try to force an error of James Deane. Austin, like I said, this is a big ask going against the 4-time champion of James Deane. And look at James, I'm sure his spotter said, hey, Austin made a major mistake in that chase position. Austin needs to put down a heater of a run. James Deane navigates a right-hand drive. We talked about the benefit of that. Jacob, I'll let you elaborate on that. We talked about it with the red nickel even right there. Yeah. So unfortunately for Austin, a great lead run by Austin. You know it's going to be just a good, clean battle. So champion, you are in the presence of greatness right here. James the Machine Deane initiates into the bank. There he goes, initiating that first outside zone. The sun is set, drop behind the bank. Boom, sun, never heard of her. Here we go. James the Machine Deane in that first outside zone. Drops down to that first inside clip into the power alley. Good transition. Snappy rate to angle by James the Machine Deane. RCP slides in that chase. James Deane out there, no problem for him. Set it and forget it, puts it right in the crease. The endorphins going through your body and the adrenaline. I have to attribute it to that, but now he's got the clean air. But you got James Deane in your rear view mirror. Look at that, Rome initiates tight. And look at James, not backing down. He looked like he delayed it a little bit, but now coming down to this first inside clip, a little tap in the brakes there from RCP. But here comes James the Machine Deane as RCP gonna take down James Deane. Look at Rome Charpentier diving in, well done by RCP up front. James a little delayed. Is it RCP or is it James? Into that second outside zone, Novak just trying to shove around. Is that too much? Gonna need to see that overhead view, get some real dynamic angles here, looking more like a video game here, and we're just gonna need the assist on the different angles. But I'll tell you what,
Nick Novak knew who he was going against. He needed to play this move, but might be what takes you out because Novak being aggressive, he had to back off, ended up hurting him more than it did helping him being that aggressive. Novak now coming to the second outside zone. He's going to try to put down a blazing run. James Deane tucks in nicely, knows his track. Like I said, winner last year. Can he go back-to-back here in New Jersey? Past that inside clip, gives him enough room to go ahead and get that initiation. Look at Novak digging deep. Look at the angle.
Yeah.
Just absolutely locked in on that last out. You got James Deane in rearview mirrors, you better look out. Here comes RCP, Rome Charpentier in that lead position. There goes James Deane in that big Mustang, chasing him down. That little 1 Series BMW now into that outside zone, and now coming. Let's see how they handle this inside clip. The one and only, almost touching tires there. Little left foot break there from RCP. That is a momentum zone on the transition. RCP gets in the dirt. Whoa, we are doing tandem, riding the hood, and that here, James Deane, you know, man, he is ripping off that line. See the car like already sideways on this, like not even on initiation, just drag race into that first outside zone. RCP, he's got a well, lost his other defender, courtesy of the contact there. But look at him, he is throwing it to the door. RCP giving it all to James the Machine Deane in that last outside zone. RCP gets involved with dirt maybe once. He's a rocket man. So that was a big deficit by RCP down his hero, coincidentally, across the nose of that Ford Mustang. Might not want to do that. If you saw RCP's BMW, he might attack. All right, here we go. Hero Manoa into that second outside zone. James Deane tucks in nicely. Look at him mimicking the angle here, throwing it in, and you can see him looking that, working that left brake, that left foot brake, right? James Deane now brings it on into the last one. Hero Manoa almost getting eaten by the Mustang. That is where blood was. Okay, he tapped that cone, but it didn't go out of place. So James Deane, big entry there from James Deane. Almost gets lost in smoke, burying him in the smoke. Into that second outside zone. There goes James Deane. I mean, he's getting, oh! Hero is fighting back. He is nipping at his ankles right now. The Rugrat is fighting back. Yeah, he might be 15, but he carries big angle. Now across the finish line. It's a good old day. James Deane gets 1, gets 2, and it's unanimous. Very calculated. And Frederick Osbo leaves the line. We got a clean start. Send it. Frederick Osbo initiates in that first outside zone. James Deane could bring it back just a little bit. Tucks into that pocket. Bathing the can of tire smoke in that second outside zone. Puts it right in where it needs to be. James Deane got that good proximity, can massage a little bit more to be parallel to the Toyota Supra. Past that inside clip in the last outside zone. Both of them bringing it up. It was not 1, but 2 more times to get an eventual victor, that being James Deane. Now we have dry conditions. Go in that second outside zone. Like I said, just put it and try to force a mistake on either side. Look at James tapping the brakes. Osbo massaged it. He adapts very well. Little left foot brake, kind of halted it up, going to that last outside zone. James keeps composure, as is Frederick Osbo. This is what I was talking about. You don't need to overcook it. A lot of rounds left. James Deane gets 1 vote. Oh, one more time, and unarguably some of the best drifters in the world. Frederick Osbo initiates that first outside zone. James takes a different approach on that chase position. In the second outside zone goes Freddie. Flirts with the white line on the outside of the outside zone. Now let's see this transition. Boom, right past it. And now going to that last outside zone. There goes Freddie and James in tow. Want to see that overhead view. Goes to the finals. Who's going to be? Are we going to have Victor? James Deane, nasty initiation. Came out of it just a little bit. You saw this again. Just knowing how capable James Deane is, you can't make those mistakes. That's what I'm talking about. You know, you got to almost force a mistake on the other side, but we know how perfect these guys are. Now coming at last outside zone, snappy. There's that X factor. Going at last outside zone, massive angle from James. Oh, gets the win. And the only 4-time FD champion, James the Machine Deane, throws it on in and uses all the course. Fiorella gets out to that outside zone eventually. Now diving in on the second outside zone. James the Machine Deane into the outside zone 2 and the 3, sticking to it like Velcro. Now into that last outside zone. The Irish pilot brings it on in. I mean, textbook was Irish because he is definitely a beast. But look at that, the Fiorella, the Ferrari going round, and James Deane just bathing in the smoke. Look at him, he's on that right-hand drive. And, I mean, he doesn't, does he need to do that? I don't think so, but he just feels compelled. This gentleman, I feel like he was born with a steering wheel in his hand, and that throws him off. FD champion. Tip to tail, initiating goes James Deane. Look at that, just bang, that right to angle. fires off into that second outside zone. Ryan Turk knows he can trust James Deane. He knows where he's going to go. He knows what to expect. He is, hence the name The Machine, just absolutely on rails. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. That outside zone 4, it's unrivaled. Now Ryan Turk out front. He's got the clean air coming into this first outside zone. Tit for tat right there. Ryan Turk initiates. James Deane tucks in. He was right there, and actually he was even deeper in that first outside zone. Good proximity, but I'll tell you what, doesn't mimic the exact angle of Ryan Turk and that hot hatchback coming that last outside zone. Ryan Turk does it. Executes flawlessly. Well done by Ryan Turk. Slams up the transition. Here we go. Slide him left for James Deane, a right for Ryan Turk. Looks like James Deane gets 1 vote, 2 vote, and you need the start line. Here goes James through that start chicane. No cones are hit. We got a clean start. James Deane getting the clean air, initiates into that Pennzoil Platinum Ford Mustang, now transitioning in that second outside zone. Rome Charpentier dives in, dives forward, a little shallow there now to outside zone 3. Settled is that Ford Mustang, just on rails, exactly what we'd expect and anticipate. Textbook once again. Rome Charpentier in the Garagistic BMW. What kind of platform, what kind of canvas is RCP going to paint for James Deane to chase him down? Here comes that Garagistic BMW into that first outside zone. You can see James Deane getting to the side of that BMW, just letting him transition right in front of him. And James Deane, look at him, just kind of bowling around, pushing him around. Looks like a little body panel came off RCP's vehicle in James Deane's face. Now bringing it on home. Look at that. I mean, RCP, he's knocked out. James Deane gets the win, leaving that start chicane. All right, that Pennzoil Ford Mustang coming into that first outside zone. Big angle from him, almost getting to the edge of that course, but that dirt will bite back. Contrary to popular belief, the gravel machine gun does hurt. Now James Deane, that Pennzoil Ultra Platinum Ford Mustang into outside zone 3. Frederick Osbo, is he mimicking that angle? Leaving it in the judge's hands, pulling across the line. Frederick Osbo spins. James the Machine Deane, let's make quick work of it. James Deane is going to the finals. James Deane, 10 points richer, and look at this. Reese, you sided with time champion, defending champion in that Pennzoil Ford Mustang. Here comes Jack Shanahan in tow in that BMW. James Deane across the nose of Shanahan. Shanahan drops back, slides back. Great angle from James Deane. Again, no tomfoolery, but Jack Shanahan dives in the inside. That is not where you want to be. Looks like he is buffering here in this situation. James Deane keeps pace. He knows exactly what he needs to do. Goes to outside zone 4. Textbook once again. Hence the name The Machine. He's going to try to force an error. James Deane, the finals are here. We know that an Irishman is going to win. Is it going to be Jack Shanahan on his rookie year getting a victory? Or is James the Machine Deane going to live up to his name once again and assume the tie for the points lead after round 5? Going to outside zone 3. Jack Shanahan puts in the right place. James Deane tucks in nicely. James Deane applying the pressure. Looks like, again, he's not going to make a mistake. It looks like James the Machine Deane gets the win, and now is tied for the points.
Big bank in the front, and then you drop down from like 88 miles an hour on the initiation. You're dropping down to like 30 miles an hour on the infield. How are you setting up the car? Are you strategizing for more of the bank or more of the infield?
We're trying to do both, you know, and what's cool here is that the bank, there's a lot of grip on the bank, and we can't run maximum mechanical grip because of that banking. But in turn 2, you can. So we're using a bunch of NASCAR tricks. We're trying to make the car follow that dynamic track and make it easy to drive while still having the grip we need to hang with these guys.
All the time. He is definitely a weapon. That dude is driving probably more than anybody. I mean, a lot of these drivers, and you've seen it, Drift Masters, FD, and look at that, just dropping a formation, a little waggle there, but then boom, finds a sweet spot. Ken Yushi, he's putting down a heat of a run right now. He did exactly what you anticipated, Jacob. He put down a great lead run, going to that power alley. I like to call it the Power Boulevard because we have widened it 2 lanes, went from 2 to 4. Both on the outside zone 2 and 3, past that inside clip, transition down to outside zone 4, the unforgiving wall, fighting back. Gucci did exactly what he needed to do. True, James Machine Deane and Brandon Sorensen. James Deane initiates high into the bank. Brandon Sorensen tucks right in, right out of the gate. James Deane, you can see a little correction with that wheel, that right-hand drive Mustang. Look at Brandon Sorensen, right in that cockpit, exploding that back bumper off. Coming to that second outside zone to the power alley, the power boulevard, into that 3rd outside zone. Brandon Sorensen has to dive back just a little bit. Now he's going to tuck in on this last outside zone, try to establish some dominance. And James, I mean, just obviously his home country, Europe, Drift Masters, and here in FD. I mean, just an absolute weapon and just an all-around nice guy. Brandon Sorensen initiates, James Deane tucks in. Would like to see him tuck back a little bit there, but look at the proximity! James the Machine Deane right there on the door of the BMW. Both of them doing very similar tasks. Brandon Sorensen really exceeding that track line. And James Deane now tucks in Sorensen. Really good execution and placement on that third as James gives him a little hate tap. Not a love tap. You hate to see it, but you love to see it at the same time. He goes up on that wall, so straight. Nothing. Just go for it, man. Risk it for the biscuit. Here we go. James Deane initiates. Four-time defending champion. James Deane, 2 wins already this year. Can he do it again? Most recently, previous round of competition. James Deane, that Pennzoil, Ford Mustang, Masayama tucks in. Again, he has that approach where he gives enough room and then drops into outside zone 3. Didn't exactly pay off, but give himself enough room. But you cannot give James. Masayama's been driving well. James Spotter's probably like, hey, just give it the beans, man. Come on now. Here we go. The machine drops into formation. Masayama looks very good. James Deane, both the cars. It looks like a photo. Looks like a still photo. The smoke billowing out into that power alley. Now watch this transition. You see James dip back, drops in, gives him a little bit of room. Like to gain that back and now flick both of them into that last outside zone. Judges are inputting, and is that correct? Get the win. And to take out James Deane, that is huge. He's a giant killer, and he's done it before. James Machine Deane initiates. Adam LZ in the chase position. Look at James Deane, a little left foot brake. Adam LZ definitely modifying and massaging that vehicle to the side of James Deane. Through the power alley goes James. Adam LZ absolutely marinated in the smoke like brisket. Into that third outside zone. Now dialing in on the inside clip. Adam LZ struggle bus, population him. He's driving that thing. And then into that last outside zone goes Deane and LZ. I don't know if there's chicken up here now. Okay. Here we go, Adam LZ, the Drift HQ BMW. Let's send it! Adam LZ initiates across the nose of that Pennzoil. Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD. Adam LZ knows what to expect. James Deane, his one-time teammate. And look at that, both the cars very settled. The composure, rock solid into that third outside zone. James, a little hesitation going in. He dials it back just a touch in that last outside zone. James timed that perfectly. Drop it into formation. Adam unwound a little bit crossing the finish line. I don't think that'll hurt him, but yeah, bro is on brand, dude. Here we go. Slide him left, slide him right. Who's gonna get the win? Who's going to the finals? James Deane gets the win. And light up the day. Here it comes. James Machine Deane transitioning to that outside zone. That field a little bit lower than James Deane and a little less angle. James locked and loaded, dialed in. Coming now into that power alley goes James, now transitioning into the third. Matt drops into formation. Look how deep James Deane is. Absolutely backing in all the way up to that Nitto tire, into the wall, and brings it on home. Yeah. Dio Shihara just texted me and said, let's do it. But you know what's going to do it right now? Matt Field or James Deane. Here are the finals. Matt initiates. Where's James? James is way down there on the bank. Matt is leaving it all out on the track. Wreckers or checkers for Matt Field. Going to this power alley. He straightens out quite a bit. He goes off course. Matt Field finds himself on the wrong side of the lines. And this is James Deane's victory. Did Matt Field make a major mistake? Looked like contact was made. Was he shoved out of the way?
Line there. As they come up, Matt Field decels a little bit to get that contact. Rick. Oh, man. That momentum change, that big discussion in our drivers' meeting this morning.
It really came into play for this final battle.
I knew it. I knew it was going to come back.
Hey, I'm glad it's now in the finals as a, you know, again. Yeah. You talk about the momentum change, the decel area off the zone 1 into the power alley, bang.
Here's the question though. Was Matt Field decelling still in the zone, or was he decelling in the correct spot?
Let's do this. We kick things off with third place.
We'll see how this plays out.
James Deane is the car 100%. We know what the driver is capable of. Passing inside cliff. Andy Haley could play spoiler here, but James Deane wants to continue his success into the outside zone 3. Look at the placement of the car. Andy Haley, no pushover at all. The Drift Wizard using his sorcery. But James Deane, the car looks 100 right now. Well done by James Deane. And look at it. Andy Haley, the Drift Wizard here in the Evil Autoworks BMW. First outside zone, past an inside clip. Outside zone 3. Did he hit that red and white? Again, maybe tap it just kind of like the dirt. And speaking of the dirt, 1, a 2, a 3. That is going to be very unfortunate for Andy Haley. I believe James Deane will ring the rewards there. Outside zone 4, he brings it all together. The Evil Auto Works it clear and concise. Machine Deane entering in. He is leading in that RTR. Ready to rock. Nick Novak trying to take him out. He is the giant killer here today in Utah. James Deane ripped into that third outside zone. Look at that, putting great placement. Throw some more stank on it. Into that last outside zone, has to handle it, boom, right there, puts it right in. James the Machine Deane puts it, Nick Novak, once again, right there on. James Deane giving chase. Again, the 4-time and defending champion, James Deane chasing down the BMW of Novak into that second outside zone, lets him on by, and James Deane comes a little unwound. Where is James? Into that third outside zone he goes, and now to that final outside zone goes Nick Novak and James Deane. Here we go. James the Machine Deane out front. Again, this is a must-win for James Deane to advance on. But if James Deane wins, Osbo is out of championship contention. James Deane into that third outside zone, that Pennzoil RTR Spec 5 FD. Down to that final outside zone, Novak. Not as pressure-filled is that BMW. Take down another multiple-year champion. Nick Novak initiates. James Deane not giving him an inch. In that second outside zone goes Novak. Now transitioning into the third. James a little more tempered approach. Look, he let him go, and now he drops in. Sinks in the sword, but it's not a weapon, but it is. It's a Ford Mustang on the side of Nick Novak. Look at him chasing him down. And James Deane gets the win. Yeah, would love to see Forsberg on the box. I haven't seen him up there in a bit, and he would love to twist the screws on James Deane. James Deane initiates in that Pennzoil RTR Ford Mustang into that third outside zone. Forsberg takes a tighter line. James gets out to the outside zone 3. Forsberg massages it on back. Now brings it outside zone 4. And outside zone 4, both of them executed properly. Good placement by James Deane, allowing Forsberg to drop into that pocket. Again, it's not so much a must-win, it's more about a must-lose for the other guys in order for James to be another champion. But right now, it's all Forsberg out front and James Deane in tow. That third outside zone, there goes Forsberg. James Deane takes some angle out of it to gain that proximity, gets into formation outside zone 3, and there it is in outside zone 4. Forsberg, great placement by him. Look at Forsberg painting that line in that NOS energy drink, all new, see? You see him throw a deuce?
Yeah.
Chris threw his fingers out the window. And here we go. Yeah, slide him left for James Deane or right for Chris Ford. A potential championship run for James the Machine Deane. This Pennzoil Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD. James Deane goes into that second outside zone, into the third outside zone. Adam LZ cuts in on the inside, drops right into formation with James Deane now going at last. Oh, looks like Adam LZ just went a little bit off. Now he drives to the inside. Adam LZ fights back. James keeps his car where the rubber meets the road. The middle tire. Ooh. He would love to take him down across the nose of that Ford Mustang. Goes to Drip HQ BMW. Into that inside clip. James Deane, a little tighter line. Now to outside zone 3 goes Adam. Big angle from Adam LZ. Hanging it all the way out there goes Adam. James Deane drops into formation. Watch the transition. One last outside zone for glory. For James the Machine Deane. Does he get it done? We got wheels off. We got tires off. We have dirt at James the Machine Deane. The Portland Performance Corvette into that first outside zone. Look at, you can see all the suspension working. Now into that third outside zone goes Matt Field. James Deane keeps it off the door or lack of. Now going to this last outside zone goes Field and Deane. And look at that, yes, sir, crossing the finish line. Oh boy. Your 2025 and 5-time Portland Drift champion, trying to sweeten the deal with a victory here in Utah. Portland Drift elevated, pulls that front left off the ground, tunes it up, torques it up into that third outside zone. Matt Field would love to get the win and advance above Adam LZ and Frederick Osbo going into the final round. But James Deane, once again, dominant in the 2025 season. Matt Field on the inside, James drafting that line. Coming in third place here at round 7 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Still in the hunt for second overall in the 2020. James Deane is your winner and champion. 5 two-time champion and second place. Rudy Hansen, James Deane out front in that Pennzoil RTR Spec 5 Ford Mustang in that first outside zone. You can see actually it goes into the third and fourth. Look at James, good angle there. Rudy, you can see him jumping up. Good angle for him. Needs to mimic that angle though. Now goes into that six. You can see how long that is, dragging that bumper into the box. It's not about the walls, it's about the box on the ground. It's a Mustang in a box. Step one, you put a Mustang in the box, bang, right across that finish line. Here we go, Rudy Hansen now out front, James Deane in that chase position. Rudy Hansen across the nose of the Ford Mustang. Look at James, he dives up the back. Now boom, he massages it, gets back into the pocket. In that third outside zone goes Rudy, James Deane. See how he's mimicking the angle? He's a little bit of distance, but you can see just how he refines that Ford Mustang. Looks like his eyes, oh, James Deane comes a little unwound, but then gets back to form. And then the sixth outside zone, look at James, he's falling back. Does he have enough tire? Deane gets the victory. Unanimous out front. James Deane in tow. Tommy the Mayor initiates. Look at that. Yeah. I mean, look, anything you can do, I can do just to say it better. As now into that third outside zone. And whoa, Tommy the Mayor, he's putting it on a show out front. James Deane, he falls back. James, where are you at? Tommy the Mayor. Want to see if there were any, I mean, you just have to think, did James make a mistake or is Tommy just that damn good? Now in that last outside zone, Tommy the Mayor is the champ. Is the champ being taken? Oh, one more time, and Tommy the LB2. James Deane initiates first outside zone, going in that second. Tommy the Mayor. Look at the form right there. James Deane checks him up a little bit. Tommy the Mayor. Look at that execution. Well done by James Deane. Gets out for that little wall tap. Does it back to back in that power rally. Now switching through the switchback. The yes turn is for James Deane. Look at that transition. Tommy the Mayor, you talk about those whiskers, right? I want to give you all the angles. At first glance, it might look sensational, but you get overhead, you're like, ooh, he missed. Just what I'm talking about. He exceeded that first or second outside zone. Tommy the Mayor, and again, losing those parts, James Deane, that allows him to catch up to him. So here comes James on in tow. And look at Tommy, some wavering. This is my exact point. Those little finite mistakes accumulate into one large mistake. Tommy is knocked out. One in round 8. And here we are, speaking of 8, it's the great 8. James the Machine Deane and Connor O'Sullivan. And James the Machine Deane goes into that second outside zone. O'Sullivan in that Army BMW. Ooh, look at him. Reeling him in. And James Deane, not even affected. Keeps on keeping on. In that Pennzoil RTR Spec 5. Clinical. Absolutely surgical with that RTR Mustang. Outside zone 7. Ain't no thing. Get that dirt off your shoulder, man. All right, so what'd you say?
I said for everybody else, make sure they fall.
All right, well, I'm glad Chris Forsberg followed me now. Here we go, Connor O'Sullivan and James the Machine Deane O'Sullivan. You talk about warming his way in. Well, he is warming it up. Ew, buddy! O'Sullivan, regardless of horsepower, he's walking James Deane right now. Give him a leash. Look at O'Sullivan. I mean, he's bringing the magic. The Machine Deane, nothing but respect on either side of the track, but your champ going against a future champion. It's just win is the question. James Deane in that RTR goes into the big outside zone, taps the power alley, 1 and a 2. Now coming into that S-turn, goes that big long 6 outside zone. Now watch this transition. Look at the timing from Hiro Manoa in the outside zone 7. Arroyo tucks in on the champ.
He would then take third. So if he wins this event, that's going to be the case.
So basically, Field is locked in at 7, I believe. Let's just talk about the battle right now. Here we go. Arroyo Manoa in Juga Racing, Jerry Yang Racing, 3M 86, leading out James Deane, that champ. Again, oh, here goes Arroyo. Little bit of hiccup there. Arroyo almost had a bit of a stutter step into that first power alley outside zone. Oh! James comes to a halt. Uncharacteristic from the champ. Arroyo Manoa Noah continues on and potentially down the 5-time James the Machine Deane.